How's it going, everyone? The Marky coming back at you once again, and today we're going to be discussing The Flash Rebirth by Jeff Johns with art by Ethan Van Sciver. Let's get into it. The book starts off with this mystery man who has like a pole with like lightning bolts attached to either end. He shows up and he starts killing forensic scientists in the police station. And then we see Barry Allen. He's back. He's catching up on stuff that he missed out on. There's some sort of parade for the Flash going on. He goes like to the Flash Museum. He runs into Hal Jordan, and those two catch up, and it's all well and good. Although Barry decides that it's not right that he's back. He shouldn't be here, so he starts running and he generates Speed Force. And as he does so, another speedster sort of falls out of the Speed Force, and when Barry goes to touch him, he dies on contact. And unbeknownst to Barry at this moment, that this all goes down, he sends shockwaves throughout the Speed Force, and all the other speedsters, they start having like seizures, and they get intense pain as the shockwaves ripple throughout the Speed Force, to which they're all connected. Effectively, at this moment, Barry becomes someone known as the Black Flash, the Flash that kills or whatever. So he decides he's going to run back into the Speed Force because he shouldn't be back. And while doing so, he runs into this corrupted Speed Force. And he finds out that the corrupted Speed Force is created by villain Eobard Thawne, Professor Zoom, Reverse Flash, whatever you want to call the guy. And we find out here that Professor Zoom made Barry a living weapon, and the whole idea was that he would return and he would touch the other speedsters of the Speed Force and kill them because he hates speedsters even though he's one himself. Make it make sense. So Barry, upon learning this, he generates more pure Speed Force, which overcomes the corrupted Speed Force, and thus he returns for real this time. So it's here, the rest of the speedsters, they're chasing down Professor Zoom, and they generate like new uniforms, and this explains how you can tell them apart. Barry from Wally and all this other stuff. They get like new uniforms, and Professor Zoom, he reveals to Barry that he was the one who ultimately, way back in the day, killed Barry's mother, and thus set Barry on his whole quest. And Professor Zoom also reveals that his ultimate revenge on Barry is not just going to be killing his mother, but it's going to be going back in time to kill Barry's wife, Iris West. So Barry and the rest of the speedsters, they prevent Professor Zoom from doing this. And they're able to somehow separate him from the Speed Force, and they lock him up in like a Supermax prison where he's like bound and he's not able to go anywhere. And thus, Barry Allen, he's officially back, and he decides he's going to spend some time with his family and slow down for once in his life. And that's the story of Flash Rebirth. I just want to start off by saying that the art by Ethan Van Sciver here is top notch. Really detailed, really frenetic. You really want that with a speed book. A book about people running fast. The art has to leap off the page. It has to almost move. And Ethan does a really good job here. And so I wanted to sing his praises right here in this part of the video. Also, I want to say that, this Jeff Johns writer guy, he's a pretty good writer. There's a moment in the book where Barry is like talking to Hal Jordan, and they're talking about how they both have returned from the dead. They both have had this rebirth and like a rebirth series. But, when Hal came back in Green Lantern Rebirth, it was like a celebration of life, right? It ushered in a new era for Green Lantern. But here, Barry coming back is sort of ushering in like death, because Barry, he was this living weapon. He's killing these speedsters, but also in the grand scheme of things, this is the beginning of the road to Flashpoint, which kills this version of the DC universe in favor of that of the New 52. So I really like how Jeff Johns is sort of playing around with things like that, leaving little Easter eggs and clues for those of us who knows what's coming. We could like read a little bit more into it, and at the time people were pissed. They didn't like Barry Allen. They liked Wally West. And Barry comes in, and he ultimately replaces Wally West for at least a good 6 years. So yeah, people were not pleased with that. I didn't really care because I'm not really a Flash fan. This is my first Flash book that I read. Uh, didn't really. I just sort of took it in stride. It spends a lot of time introducing you to the Flash family. Oh, here's, Impulse, and here's Kid Flash, and here's Liberty Bell, and here's this one and that one and the other. And you're like, whatever. You're just rolling with it. And I think that's the best approach to take. Don't get bogged down in the details. Just let it happen and enjoy the ride. Yeah, so like I said, this ushers in the road to Flashpoint. Uh, I will say one shortcoming with this book is that if you weren't a fan of Barry Allen to begin with, and this book is not going to make you a fan of Barry Allen, the guy is pretty boring, straight laced, blonde hair, blue eye, bow tie wearing, milk toast character. Uh, no real excitement. He just does things like by the book. He spent his whole life trying to solve this murder case of who killed his mother, and then he finds out in this book that, oh, it was Professor Zoom, so he decides that he's going to stop working on the case. And of course, we know what that leads to with Flashpoint. So it just, having that knowledge just makes me like Barry Allen even less. We'll see what happens, because I'm going to read the rest of this Flash series going into Flashpoint, and then the Flash series during New 52. So we'll see if he grows on me at all. Well, as of right now, did read Barry back in the Silver Age. The only other story I read with him was like a Crisis on Infinite Earths, where he sacrificed himself to save the universe, and they brought him back, here and there, Blackest Night and whatever. But yeah, as far as the Flash, this is my first introduction to him. I'm not hooked. I'm not engaged, right? It's just whatever. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give Flash Rebirth 4 out of 5. And that's a Flash fact. So until next time, I'll see you there.